Hi there, it's Elaine Hamilton Grundy from the Reiki Center. And today's topic is more better? Yes. When it comes to chocolate sundaes, definitely yes. So this idea of that is very common in spirituality is we kind of kick into trying to differentiate ourselves maybe, or trying to offer something to our clients, and it's very common in therapy, right? Like you'll kind of do your Reiki, and you'll be a Reiki therapist, but that won't be enough, and so then you'll go and you'll do crystal healing, and that won't be enough, and then you go and do sound healing, and that won't be enough, and you go on. So it's literally like, what is it, the ace pet detective. It's kind of like you show your name card and it's just like 101 different therapies. And that's a very common it's a very common movement within the therapy world, or the complementary therapy world in particular. It's kind of interesting because when you go into medicine, for example, they specialize, right? They don't expand. GP is kind of the most general, and then you get more and more and more specialized in your field of expertise. Whereas for some weird reason in complementary therapy, we do the opposite. We don't go for depth, we go for breadth. So it's like, oh, if I have 27 different modalities to offer, I'm better than someone who's really focused and specialized in one. Now, personally speaking, well, clearly, personally speaking, I disagree, because I am definitely Reiki pure and simple. So I am talking from a very personal viewpoint in this. However, what's also come to my attention recently is that this same kind of mindset is starting to infiltrate into workshops. So instead of just teaching Reiki on a weekend, we're teaching Reiki and crystal healing and sound therapy and, I don't know, massage and blah, 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 blah. So there's all of this idea that, it's not good enough to just teach Reiki on a weekend. We have to teach Reiki plus, plus, plus. Now, there is actually a real danger in this, because every time you bring in a new modality underlying or overlaying the Reiki practice, there is an amplification that happens. So, for example, I was chatting with some students who had recently done like a Reiki class with a whole bunch of other add-ons, and they had really quite severe detox symptoms afterwards. And when I was listening to them describe it, I was kind of surprised, because obviously in Reiki class, yes, people detox and people finish Reiki 1 class and they go away and they might have some fever, some aches, some pains, some minor adjustments that happen in the body, but they tend to be fairly minor. And then they go away and they practice their Reiki, and the symptoms settle down pretty quickly, or they expand into their energy field. And in general, the purpose of doing Reiki 1 as a standalone, and then waiting a while, and then doing Reiki 2, this step-by-step patient process is really to allow your energy system to adjust naturally, gracefully, and not like with a sledgehammer. So there is something to be mindful of around an urge to put more stuff into your workshops. Or if you're the student looking at the workshops, is to really be mindful of the fact that every modality that is added into it, or every additional kind of complementary expansion that is being taught to you, has to be assimilated into your system. So the question really is that good with you? Like, some people really do like to be sledgehammered through life, and they're all very drama, and more is better, and give me everything. But there is a certain wisdom in taking things step by step so you can actually assimilate. Like, we've all felt that overwhelm that happens when too many events or too many things are happening, and we just zone out, right? We don't actually get any benefit from it. It's like people who try to multitask, watching TV, on social media, answering the phone, putting in booking appointments. This is where mistakes happen. And this is also where we're not really fully engaged with anything. So there's a very endemic lack of depth to the stuff that we end up doing. And then, surprise, surprise, we kind of throw up our hands and go, well, none of that worked. Well, no, of course none of it worked, because we're not really sitting with it. We're not really engaged with it, and we're not really seeing where it can really take us. So this kind of odd philosophy that more is better in the spiritual world or in the complementary therapy world is something that I really invite questioning on. Like, is it really true? And surely if you dive into the depths of any spiritual practice, you're going to get where you need to go. But if you do a little bit of, it's a bit like, oh, I'm going to do a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and I'm going to go to this meditation teacher, and then I'm going to go to this spiritual guru, and it's spiritual shopping, right? And frankly, it's spiritual window shopping, because you don't really go into the shop. You just kind of take a look at this and take a look at that. And I guess it's very common to jump onto YouTube or jump onto these great resources, frankly, and see all of these different kind of teachers and offers, and just dive headlong into all of them. But it's just to understand that, one, if you do that, you're not going to really understand the principles of what you're learning. And in the case of energy work, it's like, assume it's working. So assume that when you get a Reiki attunement, you are being attuned to universal life force. And if you then start playing with crystals, assume they have energy, frequencies, patterns, knowledge, wisdom to teach you. And if you're being, shown how to do Tibetan bowl healing, assume that those vibrations are going to impact you in some way. So doing it all in one day is going to create a lot of chaos and havoc and detox in your system. And it's just the question of, okay, understanding that, is that what you want? And for some people, the answer will still be yes, I want that. I want just to basically explode my system. And then I would really counter with why. Are you wanting to explode your system to get rid of it so you don't really have to look at it? Or you don't really have to really come into a deep communion with whatever your kind of blocks are, and you're just wanting to distract yourself from it? Or is there really a deep yearning for understanding and growth and spiritual movement? Because if your deeper yearning is to really understand yourself, like to really come into yourself and open to the kind of potential that you are, then that requires a slowing down. Actually, it requires a patience, and it requires the body to open to show you, the mind to open to show you, your spirit to be fully engaged in the process. It's actually a really slow, steady immersion into the present moment right now, like what's actually happening, not the chasing or the throwing away. It's kind of like, and I get it, I totally get it. I do the same thing. It's like, I'd much rather chase into the future where I don't have this pain, or I don't have this illness, or I don't have this mental noise going on. I'd much rather just explode that and hope it goes away. But most cases, you just explode it. You create chaos and disturbance in your system that actually further traumatizes your system, further closes it down. And so you actually get the opposite of what you're hoping for. And you can't bypass your spiritual growth. But you can't just go, I don't want to look at it. So that's called denial, and it's called repression. So that is not spiritual growth. Spiritual growth is the courage and willingness to really dive deep into your fullness. And so I'm not suggesting you have to do that with one modality going deep. I'm not suggesting that at all. But I am suggesting that you know what you're doing and be honest with yourself. Like, why are you just attracted to continuing this broadening? What answer are you looking for? And is that answer really found in yet another modality, yet another thing, yet another shiny toy? Or would there be a certain wisdom in stopping with all the tools you have and immersing, like just going a bit deeper, going a bit more slowly, maybe really waiting and seeing what comes next? And so this is just something I throw out there because of my conversations over the weekend, and it just kind of struck me as, I'm going to say dangerous, but just foolhardy, I guess, or misguided in terms of this idea, especially I'm talking to us as teachers and people that are offering this service to others, because when you're offering this kind of service to others and there is a lack of knowledge in the market, you can't then say to the students, oh, well, it's your fault, you're detoxing so badly because I'm teaching you 6 things and you should have known that. Because as a new person to this kind of spiritual work, they don't know. I mean, they have no idea, right? So you know as a teacher. And so it's that depth yourself, like the responsibility is on you and what you're offering. So what are you offering as a teacher, as a leader, as a, whatever it is that you're giving to others? What is it that you're really offering? Are you offering an opportunity for them to come into a more deeper communion with themselves? Or are you just offering a buffet of things and hope they don't overeat? Because that really, this responsibility is yours. And it's something that I think all of us should really ponder and consider more deeply. So just thoughts, rambles. Hope it was helpful. Thank you so much.